Hello everyone, welcome back. Today, I Shivansh Valsi, co-founder at Law Community, is here with Anushka Bhardwaj Arora. She is currently working in IPR and technology and general litigation matters in collaboration with various experienced lawyers. Her main work is in copyrights, geographic indications, plant variety, international trademarks, and many more. She is also a vice chair of Young Lawyers Division of INALP, that is Indian National Association of Legal Professionals, and she is also a member at Bharatiya Janata Party. We are here to know more about her journey and learn from her. So my first question is, after your LLB, what motivated you to pursue your LLM? Do you believe masters in law is important for a law student?
Thank you, Shivansh, for this question. Frankly, LLM was only a part of my planning once I was in my once I was ending my fourth year, and so I believe at that very moment I wanted to pursue IPR. I had already in my mind that this is an expertise that I want to pursue further. So that was the first and foremost motivating factor for me, in which I planned that I believed that I wanted to study a bit more about this subject. Also, at that very moment, I wanted to have an international exposure. Also, I wanted to challenge myself simultaneously and see whether or not I can cope by studying in a prestigious university if I get any. Hence, these were few factors which I took into consideration while I planned my LLM, that too in my fourth year ending, when I was very clear as to I want to specialize in a subject. So that is the very first and foremost criteria which many of us should actually look into. That, if you're actually clear in specializing about upon a subject, then definitely one should plan for pursuing that same in form of an LLM. And answering your next question is about whether or not I believe master in law is important for law students. I believe it's actually subjective, to be very honest, Shivansh. Frankly, I believe it's not really important for students to pursue an LLM. But of course, keeping your end goal in mind, if you are really clear that you have certain criteria in your head that you want to either work outside, or you want to challenge yourself, you want to see to what limits can you actually get an exposure. Also, whether or not you want to get an expertise in a subject or not, if you're really clear about that, I want to specialize in this subject only in future. So if you have your end goals fixed in your head, I think then it's actually beneficial for you. But just like that, venturing for an LLM because peer pressure, or everybody does, or maybe your seniors are doing it, being very honest, doesn't really have anything.
So, why did you choose a foreign university for the same? And what difference did you find between the education system here and there in Singapore?
So I think, Shivansh, my answer somewhere lies in this question only. It's all about the difference in education system only. So being an Indian student, born and brought up in India itself, schooling in India, and then thereafter the undergrad in India, I personally wanted to have a foreign exposure. That was a personal choice. I wanted to, at that time, I really didn't know whether or not I'll get, so I did my master's from National University of Singapore. So at that time, I really didn't know whether I'll get NUS or not, I'll get LSE or not, or whichever university. So studying abroad was always something which I really wanted to, because and that too from a prestigious university, because we all, being very frank, we all know our educational system in India today, especially undergrad. Um, we're not really pushed to the levels that we are actually supposed to be pushed. In fact, somewhere I thought that the curriculum was a little easy. I wanted to test myself, I wanted to challenge myself. Hence, I decided to do LLM from a foreign university, one of the factors. But of course, as I mentioned previously, I had already decided that I wanted to pursue intellectual property rights, and at that very moment I was interning in different law firms too. So having spoken about this to other people from the fraternity itself, I got to know that NUS is supposedly ranked number one for IPR. Uh, Thereafter, I definitely backed on NUS, and hence I chose a foreign university. Seeing all these factors in my mind.
So my next question is, what encouraged you to choose litigation as your career path, and how did you maintain diverse extra-legal activities that you pursue on the side?
All right. So, Shivansh, basically, litigation was something which I always wanted to do. And right from my school, I believe, so at that very moment, being very honest, I never thought I'll be in law also. But definitely, when I was in my school, I was in dramatics, I was in debating. Hence, realizing my interests, I planned to pursue law. So litigation was something which I really wanted to do always. But what changed my mind was that when I was in NUS, at that very moment, I had planned that I wanted to work out. So working in NUS, working in Singapore after graduating from NUS meant that I'll be only pursuing a desk job at the moment, because I'll either be going in a tier one or tier two IPR law firm, which required me to only basically do drafting or doing a desk job and not to appear in courts. So when I was in Singapore, I trained for 6 months in three different law offices, which included a tier two law firm, and it also included 4 months in a general litigation law firm, and thereafter also in a pro bono clinic. So having a diverse experience in different law offices, and that too not litigating and not going forward in the courts, and realizing that thing at that moment, that to just drafting and seeing other people go to courts and imagining that in future after these 6 months are over, I will be doing this for the next 2 3 years. That made me realize that I am not made for this. I can do this job. I can do a corporate job as well. That's not a problem. Of course, litigation is a part and parcel of everything. But I realized my forte. I realized that what I love the most. After realizing this, at that very moment, I spread a word in India across that I'll be coming back, and I wanted to pursue litigation that ways. So this is how my journey changed into core litigation. And thereafter, speaking about extra legal activities, I feel as a student, I've always been into extracurricular activities. This is something which has given me a peace of mind. As when I was in my undergrad, also, I was not only confined to academics. Definitely, I did try to cope up in my academics by being in top 10 or top 5 of my batch. But that is something which never really satisfied me. So, being engaged in extracurriculars like organizing events or going forward for moots, forward for parliamentary debates, writing papers, and so on and so forth, or being into the political sphere of the university, that actually gave me a lot of peace of mind. Um, and I think, having said that, that is why today I am also engaged in various extra legal activities, being webinars or advising clients on pro bono, or so on and so forth, writing papers, publishing articles, etc. So this actually gives me satisfaction. And there's something that I've learned out of this is that engaging myself in extracurricular activities was not only giving me satisfaction, but all these 5 years of law school, while I was engaged in extracurricular activities, this also gave me the quality of multitasking. So, hence, today, now if I'm approached by a law university to teach them or lecture on a particular subject while managing my litigation, I am I don't have that much of a hassle because of all these 6 7 years of my training in my law school and thereafter, and being into extracurricular activities. So I feel this is a very important part and parcel, not only for me, but I believe it should be for everyone. So yeah.
So you have been judging various prestigious moods. So what are the things that you look into the while evaluating a mooter?
Absolutely. This is one question which I would really like to answer. So, having judged various moods now, be it national or be it international today, and also evaluating memorials, also coaching teams, I feel the foremost thing which any judge will look at. See, knowledge everybody would possess. Let's assume a good mood. Let's assume that people coming in that mood would possess knowledge, would possess adequate research with them. That's why they are there, say Jessup mood competition. So we have that basic benchmark that any students they're coming कि हाँ बच्चों के पास एक adequate research तो होगा and adequate knowledge भी होगा. But now when we talk about a mooter, when a mooter stands at the podium there and addresses the bench, that is the most important thing which judges look at and at such a platform. The demeanor is the most important thing which we look into mooters. See, I'll tell you what happens is that in prestigious moods like these, that too supposedly students coming from very prestigious law universities, no prejudice to anything right now, but uh, I have, out of my experience, personal experience would be telling this. So they actually possess a sense of arrogance, which is very well reflected when they start their presentation. And trust me, for judges, even if you are very good, even if your oratory skills are excellent, even if knowledge is excellent, but you don't have that demeanor, you will be marked low. So this is the foremost thing. The rest, of course, I am pretty confident that mooters going for good competitions, they have good research. Of course, good research is needed. Thorough, in-depth knowledge is needed, and everything flows automatically. So I think this is the most important thing that mooters should keep in mind.
So, what are your duties being a part of Vice Chair of the Young Lawyers Division of INALP?
Absolutely. So Young Lawyers Division of the INALP, which is the Indian National Association of Legal Professionals, we yet to launch our YLD division, and the major aspects that I'll be focusing on would be to promote young lawyers who are in need and assistance, and if not also are in need of or any assistance. The main objectives would also be to gather everybody and give them a platform so that they can connect with other professionals, not only in India, but also across the globe. So that way, supposedly, if somebody wants to connect with someone from a foreign jurisdiction and wants some help from there, be it wants to pursue uh, maybe a career in law there. So definitely, we provide them that platform in which they can go and connect with such professionals. Also, to engage such young lawyers into different sort of activities that we are planning to do. For example, we are planning to launch a virtual legal aid cell, in which we'll definitely require young lawyers' assistance in that. Also, planning to organize different webinars, and when COVID-19 situation is over, we'll also plan to organize conferences in which that would be a very big platform for young lawyers to come, and we can give them a very good launchpad in which they can be speakers, they can be moderators, and we can make them meet professionals and eminent personalities, which generally young lawyers can't really do the same on their personal levels. And the foremost objective of this Young Lawyers Division is being a first generation lawyer and understanding the problems that first generation lawyers face. Of course, this would be open to all generations of young lawyers, but one of the major objectives also would be to push the first generation young lawyers and to bridge a gap between the first generation lawyers and the resources that are actually there available, in which they can combine and they can uh, expand and do well in their profession. So that these are few objectives of me being a part of the Young Lawyers Division.
So, how does a typical day in your work look like?
Shivansh. Well, before I started my independent practice, I will say my work day was very sorted. I had my work day starting from say about 11 if we had to go to court directly, or 10, and thereafter ending around 8:30 or 9. So I knew after 8:39 I have my day off, I can go and I can old times were there when we used to go out and have dinners in cafes. But my time was allocated and it was very clear. But speaking about the present situation, I have finally decided to venture into my independent practice, and my typical day is 24 hours work. Because as everybody knows, independent practice is not only working on your own matters, but it's also a business in which you need to get clients, you need to be on the forefront, you need to take meetings, you need to do everything which actually a partner does in a law firm. And simultaneously you need to also manage your interns working with you, and also need to look at your own work, also need to go to courts, and at the same time handle and take care of any urgent draftings that come to you. So my typical day basically starts say around 7 a.m. And after having light breakfast or whatever, I need to sit with my emails, and I need to sit with all the administrative works that I have. Thereafter, I need to also see my day plan as to so many meetings that would be laid out. At times like today, I had back to back meetings from 11 till right now, as we had discussed. Hence, we put in the 5 p.m. time for having our discussion. And after this, post this, actually working on the matters that I have and reading through files that I have. And now tomorrow, my day again starts, and I need to appear in the small courts which are actually having physical appearances. So this is my typical day, basically.
So, what, according to you, are the challenges that legal industry is facing due to this pandemic?
Oh, there are many challenges which the legal industry is facing. Let's be a little specific with this question. Let's answer the in the face of litigants, uh, or litigation lawyers, more specifically. Chambers are closed, courts are closed. So lawyers usually who used to practice from chambers are heavily affected. Um, Also, matters are not going on. So those lawyers whose income used to depend on day-to-day court practice are suffering badly. But for lawyers who used to manage transactional work as well, of course their practice is there, it's booming. But the next big challenge, which is a flow from this challenge, is that now everything is going online. We have the interfaces being used, we have webinars and conferences being used, client meetings are more on video conferencing now. So those lawyers who are not tech savvy or who are not well versed with technology are facing challenges, and are not able to cope with exactly what should they do. But of course, for our generation and for the generation to come, we definitely are adapting well to this. We handle it well. And if we talk about the from the side of judiciary, so definitely the same aspect of technology and tech challenges. That's the scenario also in which judges are facing. You'll be well versed with few memes that we've been seeing. So yes, so technology bears a challenge in foremost, and these are few challenges which I feel the legal industry is going through right now.
So, what other interest areas or hobbies do you apart to take in aside from your professional life?
I love yoga. So I do yoga and I claim yoga to be my interest and hobby both. Uh, so yoga is something which I have been learning now for the last 13, 14 years. I am a BKS Iyengar yoga student, and I've also passed an examination for the same, aced that examination rather, and so I'm an eligible yoga teacher for children too. But definitely, yoga is something which gives me another peace of mind apart from extracurricular activities that we just discussed. And so I feel yoga is one thing which I take as my other interests and hobbies. Speaking about it.
So, what, according to you, would account for effective change that can be brought forth for the IPR in India?
Uh, so basically, at the present moment, what I feel is that if there could be a change in the fee structure for startups, especially if we talk about trademark filings, So, seeing the present scenario of COVID-19 and this not leaving us so far, and also seeing different schemes which the central government has been launching. Keeping both of them in our mind, I still believe that the filings fee, for example, for trademarks or for copyright filings or the patent filing itself, should definitely go down, which will enable more and more clients to cater to the situation and also continue with their filings of different intellectual property rights. Um, which I feel is one of the most important things right now to speak of one.
So, what suggestion would you like to give to the law students for they have completed or they have completed their LLB?
Uh, so I feel the foremost suggestion that I want to give to law students who are either in the last stage of their completion or who have completed LLB is to keep their vision in mind, to have their goal in their head. They need to focus as to what do they really want to do. And after having decided that, then only venture into any sort of a setup. Because what I feel is that many law graduates, what they do is out of peer pressure, because वो लगता है कि कहीं किसी का फर्म में हो गया, कोई अमरचंद में चला गया, कोई यहाँ चला गया, कोई लॉ रिसर्चर लग गया. So because of that, what happens is that they get in a frenzy and whatever comes to their way, even if that student likes IPR and he's getting insolvency, he goes to that team. So see, after that's a big mismatch. You liking IPR and then you venturing into an insolvency team of a firm will just be a doom for you in your career. And a bad step in the career in the beginning will definitely make you, will fashion your head in a negative manner. I am not saying it will fashion everybody's head in a negative manner, but generally how we humans are designed कि यार career के start में ऐसा हो गया and अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता. So the first and foremost thing is that when you're done with your LLB or when you're in the last stage of your LLB, you need to realize where your interest lies, what you want to do next, and what's your passion. And after realizing these three, then only next step into what you want to do. Maybe masters, maybe you like IPR like how I liked IPR. You want to go for masters, or maybe you think that you know IPR very well. अच्छे से पढ़ा है college में, everything is बहुत अच्छे professors थे. I'm very glad and happy with how I've studied IP or any subject. Now I feel that I am very confident and I need to launch myself into the market. Maybe you join a firm, maybe you join a chamber practice which has IPR. So this is how you understand and this is how you progress ahead.
So, how do you think law community can prove beneficial to the legal fraternity? And what new avenues do you expect from us?
I feel conducting such interviews and such going into such discussions, I'm very confident that you will gather a very good pool, which will definitely be very beneficial for law graduates or for upcoming law students, because that's what matters. Experience does matter. So today, what I can talk about is all about or all based on my personal experience. Tomorrow, you can find somebody else who's also in some other sphere doing very good, or doing some expertise, or doing something very well in some other field. So talking to him and discussing such questions and making other and then thereafter launching the same, I feel that is what, in my personal opinion, lacked when I was a law student. Because when I was a law student, we didn't have this much of a database in which we had so many interviews or we could look up to so many other places where these are frequent questions which we all have. I also had all these questions when I was a law graduate, and especially for first generation lawyers, we are the ones who, I mean, generally we are the ones who face difficulties because we don't have a mentor or a guide who can show us the path. Definitely we have friends, we have seniors, and that's what we are made of. And I'm very glad that I had good mentors and seniors who paved a path for me. But for most of the people, for first generation, second generation lawyers who really want a clear thought or a clear picture, I think law community is doing a very brilliant job. And I that's what, when we opened up our discussion, I personally thanked you that, and I wish you very best, or I wish you all the very best for your endeavors, because this is a very good venture that you're actually doing, and it will definitely benefit, be it young lawyers or law graduates or upcoming law students. And any new avenues that I expect from you, I'll say that definitely go forward with more and more publications of that sort. Um, Also open up a base in which you can promote different activities happening, and you can reach it out to other students, like different job openings or different events happening in various other areas of different expert sections. um, you could also go forward with some paper publishing. You can tie up with the paper publishing house also, in which, because this is a very important aspect for law graduates or law students, in which you can invite papers and you can get them published, of course, without a fee, because that's what a good publication is made of. Um, these are few suggestions which I can think as of now, but definitely we can sit down and talk about this in length. So
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having such an amazing interaction with us. It
I
will
hope it would be beneficial for everyone. That's my main end goal. That's it.
it will definitely gonna benefit a lot of young minds. And we are delighted to have a time with you. And law community is grateful for the same. Thank you so much.